Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Flannel Panel Podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Rosario.
And we are going to do a little talking today about the upcoming NFL Draft this Thursday night.
Yeah, get excited. It's so soon. I mean, a lot of work's going into preparing for the draft for all these players. We're really excited to see where everybody ends up going. And, I mean, it's been a lot of fun to look into, and it'll be a lot of fun to see where the pieces fall. So let's get into it.
Yeah, it's personally my favorite part of the offseason just because it's very exciting to see all these new, young, talented players, and it's a nice balance. You get to look at every team and kind of address their needs in a very unique way. So.
Oh, definitely. Nothing better than it. And I think the NFL draft is the best of all the sports drafts, but that's just my opinion, you know.
I agree.
So, obviously, we start here with the first pick, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think it's a pretty foregone conclusion, and I think you would agree.
Yeah, pretty much since December, everybody's known that this is going to be Trevor Lawrence. Maybe even before then.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
When
it's been forever.
Tanking for Trevor is coming up.
Exactly. And, I mean, the pressure on this kid's going to be crazy, but he's done nothing but win, you know. There's definitely not going to be a discussion here. If I'm the Jaguars, I don't even take calls about trading the pick. Just go get your man and hope he's the guy, you know?
Yeah. Definitely, and it's nice to see somebody like Urban Meyer taking over as well as the head coach. He's buying into, it's kind of a new era down in Jacksonville. He's obviously been a college coach before, and now he's coming in with a young quarterback, and I think he's going to be able to work very well with him.
I completely agree. I completely do.
Yeah, and then as far as Trevor Lawrence, I know they're the worst team in football last year, but they do have James Robinson, who's a pretty good running back. I think
he's
obviously
he was very solid last year.
Yeah, that'll help you out with the passing game, and then DJ Chark is a pretty good wide receiver.
He can move.
So
he can motor.
Yeah, it's not like he's just going to be out there by himself. He'll have a little bit of help, which is nice to see. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see him get more help in this draft later. I mean, there's a lot of depth at wide receiver, not wide receiver. That's obviously not a thing. But, it'll be really exciting to see what the kid does. Hopefully he can, be the first long-hair quarterback to get a dub in the Super Bowl. But
the flow. We need the flow.
We do need
Holding
the
Lombardi Trophy, it would be
majestic.
It
would be so epic. It really would be. So if we move on to the second pick here, it's... At this point, I mean, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion as well. And I think that's going to be Zach Wilson, the quarterback from BYU.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. He's another guy kind of similar to Joe Burrow last year in the way that, if you looked at any mocks, going into this college season, he was not on there.
Nowhere to be found, yeah.
Yeah, he was not a guy, and now he's going to be, the second player off the board for this Jets franchise that's been calling out for, a starting quarterback.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Adam Gase is finally gone. It's time for, much like we talked with the Jaguars, it's a new era up there in New York, too. So they're going to start it with a quarterback.
Yeah, and he's a very interesting player.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an absolute cannon of an arm. He can make any throw. He's not like the biggest guy ever, but he's not like too tiny. It's just the fact that he came out of nowhere, and it's not like he had a Joe Burrow season. It worries me a bit, and they obviously see something in him if they're going to call this shot weeks before the draft that they're picking him. So
yeah, and luckily for him, he's a good scrambler.
Yeah,
he can get away. He's gonna need to use all that mobility up in New York.
Yeah, but I mean, Sam Darnold couldn't get it done, and I mean, a lot of the blame came and was put on Adam Gase. But now that it's a whole new system, you gotta hope Zach Wilson can get it done.
Yeah, the Jets are the first team in the modern era to pick two quarterbacks in the top three picks, like 2 or 3 years apart. I forget what it is.
So unbelievable.
But yeah, Jets are gonna jet.
Jets they just do nothing but jet. But
yeah, so it's gonna be a very interesting spot to be in for them.
Yeah, his situation is not going to be the best in that offense, but I mean, with a young quarterback, you always have to build around him. So
exactly. And as far as a prospect, what more can you ask for? Really exciting, put you on the edge of your seat.
Exactly.
So I think Jet fans have a lot to be excited about for this new future, especially with Zach Wilson at the helm.
Oh, yeah. All right, Michael. Pick number 3, the San Francisco 49ers. We've talked about this one a lot, and there was one guy from the start that I said I will not be a part of putting at number 3 in a mock. And who do we have at number 3 in that mock but
Mac Jones, quarterback Alabama. It almost doesn't even sound real.
No, it certainly
when you
doesn't.
say it. just because it's not like San Francisco had the third pick and, Mac Jones has fallen graciously into their arms. They traded a boatload of picks, a lot of futures to go up and get this guy. And when you make a move like that, it's a franchise-defining move. It's a move that we've found our guy and we're going to go get him. And it just doesn't seem to us like Mac Jones is that kind of talent. But.
No, at all. I mean, look, he's a first-round quarterback. He is. He just won the national championship. He had a great season. Yes, he was playing behind a stellar offensive line. Yes, he had some of the best weapons in college football. It's not the fact that, maybe a team's going to bet their future on him. It's just how much they gave up and how early he's going. And the fact that it seems like the front office and the coach aren't even in agreement with who they want to take, and that worries me, especially after they traded all this. How are you going to trade all this and then not even know who you want?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the end game now. When you're sitting there at 3, you have to, make a decision and pick somebody, and it's so strange that you could trade all of this and not even have, like, a consistent, like, this is going to be the guy who it is.
No, for real. And, I mean, look, they were originally sitting at 12. It's not like they were that far back. If you're coming up for Mac Jones, I would imagine they could have gave up less and not have to go as far up. But
yeah,
they did what they did, and I do think it's going to be Mac.
Yeah, as we get further into this draft, we're going to talk a lot about teams that might end up trading out or trading back, just depending on how far these quarterbacks fall.
Oh, yeah.
And I do feel like Mac Jones kind of going into this draft cycle was the guy who was going to fall the farthest.
Definitely.
And now they've just traded everything to go up and get him at a premier draft position.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, most mocks, I would say a month out, had Mac Jones to the Patriots at 15, pretty locked in. And, 15, that's a fine spot for him to go, That makes sense. And now I just don't know who the faller is going to be. I don't see anybody getting past 9 or 10.
Yeah, definitely. I think teams are going to trade up and get him. But with Mac Jones, you're getting a quarterback who is a winner in college.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, no, there's definitely some upside. And, as much as we say all the throws he made were wide open, he still did make the throws. He played well. He won the national championship. But
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see him and how he fits in that, that offense in San Francisco, just because they don't have the best receiving core. They have Brandon Ayuk, obviously a rookie last year, and they have George Kittle, who's really their main number one target.
He's the guy.
He's a guy who's going to take care of the football, and he's going to complete a lot of passes, but I don't know as far as bringing your team, as far as an upgrade on Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know if that's what they're actually getting with this pick.
And they're just not the team they were when they went to the Super Bowl. And maybe they think they are that team. Maybe they think that Kyle Shanahan's just going to be this guru with Mac Jones and figure him out. And, maybe he can keep it kind of a college-style offense. We'll see. We'll see what he makes work for him. But he wants him, and I think he'll get him.
I agree.
So moving on now to pick number 4. We're not going to mock any trades in this draft, but I could certainly see one starting here. If the Falcons do keep the pick, I think it should be, and I think it will be Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts he's just an absolute monster. He's too big to be a wide receiver, but he's too fast to be a tight end. He's a real tweener, which makes it really difficult for defenses to try to shut him down because there's nobody you can really put on him as far as man coverage.
If you expect a linebacker to cover the tight ends, think again. It's just not going to happen with Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
And I remember a couple months out before the draft, we were talking about this, and you said, you think Kyle Pitts is going to go top, I think it was 6. And I was very, very hesitant to think that, just because when does a tight end go this early? And then you just watch him, you see everything he does, and, it just makes sense. The dude's a freak athlete, and he can go up and get anything.
Yeah, he's a real physical tight end. He's not afraid to, go hand fight with cornerbacks or linebackers. He's okay in press coverage. He can get through all of that, and he's really good at attacking the ball, at a good catch point, a high catch point, and he's so much bigger than all these guys.
He just beats him.
He just goes up and gets it. So he's a really, really talented player, and I think as far as the Falcons are concerned, they still have Calvin Ridley. They still have Julio Jones as of right now, and Matt Ryan, who was an MVP throwing the football.
Yeah, exactly. And they re-signed him. They obviously are going to go all in on him for at least the next couple of years. So, I think what better to do if they can't trade out of it than just get an absolute beast of a weapon in Kyle Pitts.
There might be no defense played in Atlanta, but that offense should be rolling on all cylinders this year.
Greatest show on turf part 2, maybe. Probably not, but we'll see. Moving on down to number 5, and we have Penei Sewell going to the Bengals here. I think this could go a number of different ways. I think it could definitely be Jamar Chase, just to reunite him with Joe Burrow. That would be electric, I won't lie. But at the end of the day, your rookie quarterback tore his ACL and got hurt and missed so much time. And, I mean, the scar on his leg is unbelievable. It's tough to see, honestly. They need to protect him, and I think this is the pick to do it.
Yeah, save Joe Burrow. That's what this pick is to me.
Hashtag save Joe Burrow 2021.
We can't just let Joe Burrow get destroyed every year on the Bengals. So I think they need to protect him. And when you can get a guy like Penei Sewell, who is not only a great tackle right now, but a great prospect who can grow into, a really, really talented pro. I think, this is a perfect pick for them, especially the way this draft has fallen. Obviously, you want to go get the new shiny wide receiver, the new shiny toy. But they do have a pretty good wide receiving core as it is right now.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I think they're wholly solid.
Yeah, and it's a pretty deep draft when it comes to wide receivers. So if you really do want to surround him with talent, at the beginning of the second round, I think there's still going to be a couple of guys who could have gone in the first round sitting
there. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I completely agree.
So, yeah, I think they should go Penei Sewell here, and I think that'll help keep Joe Burrow upright.
It should.
He's much better at throwing the ball when he's standing up than when he's on the ground.
Yeah, certainly not the best quarterback when he's on the ground, but I think that would be something to get excited about. I mean, hey, look, if you're a Bengals fan, this is not a sexy pick by any means, but, I mean, you got to keep Joe Burrow healthy. You do at the end of the day. I mean, the weapons aren't going to matter if the guy can't even throw the football. So I think they have to do that. Will they? Who knows?
We'll see.
We'll see Thursday. We certainly will. But I think that's what they should do.
So our next pick, number 6, the Dolphins, which was the Eagles' pick. Which makes me sad.
It's the worst.
Will probably be Jamar Chase. That's who we have mock going there. Wide receiver from LSU. Jamar Chase won the best wide receiver award last year. I guess 2 years ago now.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
When he was in that class that had Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs, Justin Jefferson, a lot of really highly rated guys.
These guys that last year we thought were the best wide receiving class in how long, and this guy was the best of all of them.
Yeah.
And here he is.
So he did sit out this past year, opting out due to COVID.
Yeah, because of COVID.
But he's one of those guys who he didn't just sit on his butt for a year.
He certainly did not.
Yeah, he's really transformed himself and looks like a real professional wide receiver now. He's put on a lot of weight. He looks like he can take hits at the pro level. And when you can compare that with his speed and agility, he really looks like a game changer at the next level.
Yeah, I think he's going to be insanely good. I mean, it's great to have just a sure number one for Tua, and Jamar Chase is the best receiver in this class. I think a couple of months ago, right after the season had ended, a lot of people thought Devonta Smith was going to go first, just because he's coming off the Heisman season. That's unbelievable. But once people kind of remembered who Jamar Chase was and saw what he's done with himself, I think he's got to be the number one receiver taken off the board, and I think the Dolphins would be a lovely fit for him.
Definitely.
So we move down to number 7 here, and we got the Lions. And this pick could go so many different ways. It could be traded. They could take a quarterback. We have them taking a wide receiver. Which wide receiver? Devonta Smith. I think coming off that, like I just said, that Heisman year, that was unbelievable. There's a lot of concerns with his size, but I mean, as long as the guy's making plays, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's only 170 pounds, which really for the NFL is pretty light. But I think he's that type of guy he's going to put weight on his frame just as he gets older. We got to remember he's still so young.
Exactly. These are kids.
Yeah, and the fact that he was able to do what he did last year, winning a Heisman for a wide receiver it never happened.
Yeah, it's completely unheard of.
And he was able to be the standout wide receiver on, yet again, teams that had Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, and Jalen Waddle, who will all probably be first-round picks.
Yeah.
And he was a guy who, with even all those guys in the lineup, was the one who was able to stand out.
Yeah, I mean, he really capitalized on, Waddle's injury. Of course, that sucks for Jalen Waddle. But, Devonta Smith tore it up this year, and I think he can tear it up in the NFL. Yes, he's probably going to need to put some muscle on. And you know what? Maybe this isn't the best spot for him just because their quarterback situation is a little uncertain with Jared Goff.
Just leave Jared Goff to the dogs and just like let him burn.
But at the end of the day, I mean, if they don't go quarterback and they don't trade back, I think this should be the pick.
Yeah, I agree. He's a very, very talented wide receiver. So at 8, yet again, this is another place where we really do think 7 and 8. If these quarterbacks continue to fall, we're going to look for people to trade up. Maybe, the Patriots might trade up, the Bears could trade up, Washington football team could trade up. But as of right now, it is the Panthers. And the Panthers just traded for Sam Darnold, so they're going to have to protect him with Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle from Northwestern.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, this guy, he's an absolute beast. The one concern with him is that his arms were a little small. And, I mean, that is certainly not a great thing to hear when you're talking about a tackle.
He's got T-Rex arms.
Yeah, that's great. He needs to push off the defenders, but, I mean, he makes it work. He does. I mean, on film you can see that the arms really aren't that much of a problem, at least at the college level. And while the Panthers did just trade for Sam Darnold, I don't know if they're going to stick with him. I guess this here assumes that they will. But this team could do anything at this point. They really could.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they could really use help all over the place. But they're one of those teams where trading back, I think, is a good option, just so they can get a lot of different help.
Definitely, yeah.
Especially because they did have to lose some picks trading for Sam Darnold. But I think with Rashawn Slater, you're going to get like a cornerstone tackle for your franchise, exactly. Which they don't come around a lot.
No, they certainly don't.
And worst comes to worst, if his arms really are too short, you have a Pro Bowl guard on your hand, a guy who can move inside
he really could slide
play.
Right down. Yeah, he's one of 2 guys in this class that I think could play tackle or guard. The other being Elijah Vera Tucker, and I mean he could get it done no matter what. And at the end of the day, they just need to hit on this pick. They can't, with all their needs, miss here or take a quarterback and he doesn't work out, especially after just getting Sam Darnold. So, I mean, this might be playing it a little safe, but at the end of the day, maybe that's what the Panthers should do this year. So if we move on now to number 9, things get a little more exciting here with the Broncos pick. We have them taking Justin Fields, the quarterback from Ohio State, who a lot of scouts and a lot of mockers have falling for what seems like almost no reason in this draft. I think him landing here in Denver would be great. I mean, they have a lot of offense already built around him with Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. I think he could be really electric here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this Denver offense is ready to go. I really thought Drew Lock was... Yeah, I was a big Drew Lock believer. I thought he was going to go nuclear this year just because of the team
you see what's around him. It would make sense.
And it didn't work. And if you're sitting here at 9 and you see a guy like Justin Fields who's already played in a national championship game, I know he doesn't have a ton of film and he can run hot or cold, but he's a young quarterback and that's kind of what they do.
Exactly.
So I think you can get a chance to get a premier quarterback at this early in the draft, and hopefully you won't have to draft here again. So it's really one of the only chances you're going to get a guy like this. And I think he could really help that offense because he's not only is he a really good quarterback, he's a freak athlete as well. He can run all over the field. He's got an absolute bomb of an arm. And I think that you put this guy, so much raw talent, into this offense, I think it could be great.
Yeah, they really could shape him into a hell of a quarterback. I truly do believe that. Other options at this pick, they could maybe go for a tackle. Darrisaw is an option. I could also totally see them taking Michael Parsons here.
Definitely.
Hell, they could even trade out of the pick. The beginning of this draft could be wild. It really could be.
Yeah.
But if the chips fall the way that we have them falling, I see no reason they shouldn't take a quarterback.
Yeah, I think they would love for the draft to fall like this, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And, I mean, even if, say, Fields is gone, I wouldn't be surprised to see him take a shot on Trey Lance. It's just they need a quarterback. Drew Lock was not getting it done, and I don't think he will get it done ever. So
sad.
It is sad. It is.
Sadness.
It is. But, hopefully the Broncos can kind of revitalize themselves with Justin Fields, and he adds a whole new level to the game. So it would be very exciting if he worked out there. Now, moving on to number 10, we have everybody's favorite team, the worst team in the NFL,
Boo.
The Dallas Cowboys. And this is another pick that I feel like has not necessarily been set in stone, but almost everybody has it mocked them, and it just makes sense. And we have Patrick Surtain II going here, the cornerback from Alabama. They'll pair him with Tevin Diggs, the cornerback they chose last year from Alabama, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I hope it doesn't, but I think Surtain's a pretty solid player and a pretty solid pick here.
Yeah, even as bad as they were last year, it wasn't really on the offense. Andy Dalton didn't play too terribly. He definitely wasn't great, but
No, I mean, as good as Andy Dalton can be.
Yeah, it is Andy Dalton. The Red Rifle's a little past his sell-by date at this point. But, I mean, with Dak coming back, you really have to look at that defense, especially that secondary, and try to fix it. And yet again, 2 Alabama corners in back-to-back years to come into that system, I think it's really good. Patrick Surtain's dad played in the NFL, so it's very nice to see that tradition is kind of passed down. And, I think it's a great pick for them right here, sadly.
No, it is. It's tough. We'll actually see that with a few different picks tonight, that their father played in the NFL, which is really cool. I feel like it's happening now more than, like, it used to. I don't know why, but...
Even with the NBA.
Yeah, and the MLB, too. Yeah, it's just all sports right now. But, it's a great pick for them. I think he's the second best corner in the draft. I think Caleb Fairley is the best, but he's been dealing with back issues, and, I mean... persistent injuries is just not something that you want to see from a prospect, especially like before he even touches the NFL. It's not worth it. The 10 overall pick, and they do what they got to do here. Next, moving on to 11, another interesting pick, and of course, the Giants also pick right before the Eagles.
Yeah, this is terrible.
This could once again, with many of the picks, go a number of different ways. We have them taking Micah Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State. It could go literally flip-flop with what we're going to have the Eagles pick. We'll see, but Micah Parsons is an absolute beast on the field. He is a converted edge rusher, so he's going to have to learn a little bit more about playing linebacker in the NFL, but this kid is just such a freak athlete. He can get anything done. I think this would be a great pick for the Giants.
Yeah, he's the definition of like see ball, get ball. Whether he's coming in on a blitz or, he's just taking care of runs. He can go sideline to sideline, and he's really just a tackle machine in the middle there. And I think that's kind of the perfect glue any defense needs, and it's a real good cornerstone for the Giants to have. A lot of people might have them going wide receiver here. I think
I can see that.
With the addition of Kenny Galladay in the offseason.
Exactly, it's just...
They might not need to do that. They obviously need offensive line help.
Yeah, this is another place I'll throw the name Darisaw out. He could definitely go here, but... Yeah.
After taking Thomas last year with, I think, the 4th overall pick, I think that they should look to address a couple other, positions on that team.
Definitely. And I think Micah Parsons can kind of play wherever they need him to. And, they're a little bit of a project team right now, so getting a core guy in there would certainly be a great pick, I think. But, yeah, I agree, though. Receiver, like, I see so many people mocking them receivers, but... Yeah. It just doesn't seem to be a need. I mean, it would be maybe similar to last year when the Cowboys picked CeeDee Lamb not right in front of us, but when it wasn't necessarily a need, it was just the best player available. But I don't know that I would go as far to say that Waddle needs to be picked at 11.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb had fallen so far.
Exactly, yeah.
Some people had him going in the top 10, and he ended up falling to 17. And I think Micah Parsons is another type of guy that, he sat out this past year. If he didn't, this guy could be a top 5 talent.
Yeah, exactly. People are so quick to forget when it comes to these draft prospects. So, I mean, I could see him falling much farther than this.
I agree.
I think this is where he should go, up in this area. But, we'll see. He does have some off-the-field issues that are worth mentioning. But, you got to hope that your NFL coach can straighten out the young man and get the best out of him. So now we'll move on to pick number 12, our Philadelphia Eagles. Go Birds, baby.
Go Birds.
And we have them selecting the wide receiver from Alabama named Jalen Waddle, not Devonta Smith. Could be confusing. But Jalen Waddle, I think, could go anywhere from 6'7" to here. I think this is where the buck's going to stop. I don't see him getting past us, and I don't think he should get past us.
Yeah, if we're sitting here at 12 on Thursday and we don't pick Jalen Waddle and he's on the board, I would be very sad.
It's going to be Vietnam flashbacks from last year.
It'll just where there's going to be another video of like teams laughing at us because we're drafting so poorly. So Howie, don't do that to us again, please.
Like, you don't want to be laughed at. We don't want to be laughed at. let's just not let that happen.
And next year we can just rebrand to the Philadelphia Jalen's.
There you go. Yeah, we'll have enough of them.
Jalen Hurts to Jalen Reagor, who ladders it to Jalen Waddle, and then we'll be good.
Exactly. Just to talk a little bit about Waddle as a player, he's one of the most explosive athletes in this class. As soon as the ball's in his hands, like, he could score at any time. He just makes people miss, breaks tackles. He's a great return man, which I couldn't care less about as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, because Jalen Reagor was also supposed to be that, and
most of the time we have Greg Ward back.
Yeah,
there.
it's just not like a selling point for me, but it is certainly something that people will look at. But he's just such an explosive player.
Yeah, definitely feels the need to. I mean, you looked at our wide receivers last year, and it kind of looked like they were all running in quicksand. None of them could get open. There was no separation. And I think
abysmal play.
Yeah, that led to really Carson having a really tough season. And then later on, I mean, we watched Jalen Hurts running for his life because he had no one to throw to and no one to block for him. So I think we got to help him out. Whether how he believes he's the future of the franchise or not, I think Jalen Waddle is a fantastic wide receiver.
Yeah, no matter who's throwing him the ball.
Yeah, he's a game breaker. He can get down the field, and obviously, he did play at Alabama with Hurts for a little bit. So we bring back that Alabama connection and really hope for it.
Yeah, other places I could see us going here, probably cornerback. I could see J.C. Horn going here, and in fact, a lot of people say he's going to go here. Knowing the Eagles, they could also pick a defensive lineman, because that's something Howie Roseman seems to love to pick.
Definitely.
But
Kwity
Kwity Paye could be an option. Could be, a linebacker would be honestly great. I don't think that he'll pull the trigger on a linebacker, but if Waddle's here, we got to get Waddle, and I think, especially with the run on quarterbacks that could come with everybody trading up, I think there's a real possibility we could get one of the top receivers, and that would make me the happiest man ever.
Yes. So, wide receiver all day for the Birds.
All right, so now we're on to pick number 13 with the, I was going to say San Diego Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah. You caught yourself.
I did, but I had to admit it,
It happens.
So, as Michael knows and as you'll know, Justin Herbert is one of my favorite players in the NFL. Like, as soon as he got drafted, I love this kid, and he had an incredible season, which was really, really a great surprise to see. Now the next step for these Chargers is protect him, build around him, and they do that with the tackle from Virginia Tech, Christian Darrisaw.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, Herbert came in this year, and his first game, he wasn't even supposed to start.
Yeah,
the medical team accidentally punctured Tyrod Taylor's lungs, and he just got the starting role for that game and never looked back.
Yeah, he ran with it. He really did.
And it's great. So if he's got that mentality, he's got an absolute cannon of an arm. I think they need to protect him. If there's a wide receiver here, I could totally see them.
I could see that as well. Yeah, that's building around him is going to be very important. And,
exactly.
What better way to do that with an explosive receiver? Sadly, they are all gone.
Exactly. And when you look at a team's need, and tackle and guard are both on there, you know that they just need to get an offensive lineman in the door. And I think that, with Darrisaw, they're getting a really good player who, is going to protect their franchise asset.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Darrisaw he's a very, very good tackle. He doesn't have any of the size issues that you might have with Slater. A lot of people even rank him ahead of Slater. I don't necessarily see it that way, but this man is another person that could certainly be a cornerstone offensive tackle in the NFL. I think it would be a great pick for the Chargers right here at 13.
So next pick at 14 gets exciting for those Minnesota Vikings. We have them picking Trey Lance out of North Dakota State, quarterback. I think that this would be, if this happened in the draft, I don't think Trey Lance is going to fall.
Yeah, I'm going to make a guarantee that I do not think Trey Lance will be picked this late.
This is your Rosario's guarantee.
There it is, right there.
But if he did fall to 14, I think that Minnesota would be a great spot for him to land. Kirk Cousins, he ain't it, Chief. That is just the truth.
No, he certainly isn't. And probably never has been.
No.
But, you like that? You like that? No, I don't, Kirk. I don't like that. I could see this being Darrisaw if he was still here, or Slater if he was still here. But other than that, I think that if Trey Lance is here, there's no reason they won't pick him. Not the offensive line, but the offense itself is already ready to go. They just need an explosive guy like this who can get it done with his feet, with his arms, any way he has to. And it's weird to see another quarterback come out of North Dakota State after Carson a few years ago.
And Phil Gross.
It's weird. And
I need a shower.
once again, this is a guy who didn't play a whole lot, especially playing FCS ball. It is a concern. He can struggle with accuracy at times, but once again, this is a guy that wins. And, in the FCS, there's a lot of pressure on you to win when you're that team. The team that wins every year, you can't be the guy who doesn't win. So I think he knows what it's like to have pressure on him, and I think he could be a solid starter in the NFL.
Yeah, he's probably, I think, the biggest upside of any of the quarterbacks in this draft, even over Trevor, because of just his physical attributes. When you see him in the pocket, he looks like a quarterback. When you see him get outside of the tackles, he looks like a running back. And then you see him in the open field, and he looks like a wide receiver. It's incredible how talented he is with his feet and how he can run. He was running people over. That's not something a quarterback normally does, and that's probably something he won't be able to do in the NFL. But if he can find a way to utilize all these attributes while staying healthy, I think he could be an incredible player.
I agree. And honestly, I think to get the best out of him, I think he should go to San Francisco.
I agree.
I'm a bit surprised that Kyle Shanahan wants Mac Jones over Trey Lance just based solely on the upside and how much of a fun new toy he would be in that offense. But I agree. I think Trey Lance might have the lowest floor, but certainly up there with the highest ceilings of these quarterbacks. And
definitely.
Minnesota would be foolish not to pass on him here. So moving on to number 15, we have the New England Patriots, who would certainly have loved for a quarterback to fall to them. But that just simply is not the case, and it won't be the case on Thursday. They're going to need to go up and get somebody if they want somebody.
Yeah. As we mentioned with those teams that are going to trade out of, probably 7 and 8, the Lions and the Panthers, Patriots are definitely a team that's going to be looking to get up into this quarterback sweepstakes. Just because Cam Newton didn't really do it last year to the level. He's going to be back again. But I don't really think that he's done anything to secure himself.
And they're already paying him backup money, so it seems as though everybody kind of knows what's going on here. But should a quarterback not be here for them, which I don't think one will be, it could be an issue for them down the road. But
definitely,
we have them taking J.C. Horn, the cornerback from South Carolina, who is, to a lot of people, he's a top 15 pick. I think this is a good spot for him, but I just don't know with him. I really don't. I think Caleb Fairley would probably be the better pick, but I don't know. It's just tough. These guys are all so solid, and I don't know with them. The Patriots always seem to pick the best player, so if it ends up being Horn, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I'd say definitely on the defense, I think would be a great place for them to add, just because obviously I think quarterback and wide receiver are the main two. And they would have to...
they're just not there anymore.
Yeah, they're not there. I think they're going to have to trade up to get somebody at those two positions. And if not, it would be a crazy reach for them to go now.
Yeah.
They can get a guy at a really good value at the draft at a position of need of cornerback. And he's a really physical defender, which I think Bill Belichick would like. He's really good on press coverage.
He's an outside corner. This guy's not going to be one of the guys stuck in the slot. He can man up with anybody. He might get beat by some of the smaller, quick guys, but he will be able to stay with anybody who's big and tough. And, I think he could be great in the Patriot way of things. But
I agree.
It's just they spent so much money this offseason. It would be tough for them not to get a quarterback and start trying to get back into the playoffs after missing out. But we shall see. We certainly will. So if we move down to 16 and the Arizona Cardinals, we have them selecting Caleb Farley, the cornerback from Virginia Tech, who I'm obviously very high on. Injury concerns, yes, but he could end up being the best cornerback in this class by far, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think he was kind of unanimously the number one cornerback until all of these back issues coming up, and then he got surgery on his back, which is obviously never good to see, especially from somebody so young. But I think he plans to be 100% ready to go. And I think the Cardinals losing Patrick Peterson, who was just a long-time guy there.
He was there for so long.
I think they can go and they can replace him with possibly the best one in the draft, just staying where they're at 16.
And obviously they can't complain about that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see them go tackle here or guard here. Kyler Murray, He's very fast.
Yeah, of course.
He does need to run for his life on every play. But yeah, I do think that the defense is one of the pieces that they need to fix. I think that offense was cooking last year with Kenyon Drake and D-Hop and Kyler, obviously. So they just kind of have to figure it out defensively. And I think by going and getting, who could be the best corner, an absolute lockdown corner in this draft, a real big physical guy who can match up with anybody on the outside would be great.
Yeah, I mean, they even signed like J.J. Watt this offseason. They clearly see the defense is where they need to go, and I think that's where they will end up going on Thursday. So now we move down to 17, and the biggest wild card always in the draft.
The Raiders.
And that is I was going to say Oakland Raiders. See, I'm stuck in the old ways.
Yeah, you are, bro. It's Vegas.
It is
Come
Vegas,
on, baby.
baby.
It's Vegas, baby.
But we have them taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the linebacker from Notre Dame.
Fantastic.
And I think we both love this kid.
Yeah, fantastic pronunciation, by the way.
Thank you. I tried,
I specifically was like, I'm not going to read this name because I don't know.
No, that's fair. That's
so I'm just going to call him Jeremiah. But yeah, he's a do-it-all linebacker from Notre Dame. He gets involved. He's a guy who he just can sniff out the ball and he gets his head right where it needs to be. And he's a fantastic linebacker. He's not just good at stuffing the run and going after the quarterback. He's really, really good in coverage, which I think kind of sets him apart from Micah Parsons at least. Micah Parsons is definitely a guy you want in and around the box, where Jeremiah can definitely come outside and cover all different types of tight ends that you might see.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, it's almost essential nowadays for your linebackers to be able to cover a little bit. And this guy's so long and athletic that I really think he'll be able to get it done at the next level. And that's super exciting for them. Will the Raiders be smart enough to make this pick? I certainly don't know. I think they'll probably go with somebody that we don't even have projected in the first round. But, I mean, you never know. It's just so funny to me that Mike Mayock, who used to be like NFL Network's draft expert, comes in and is a GM now and just... I mean, he can't draft. It's so funny.
Not at all. It really shows.
And I mean, him and Gruden, what a dynamic duo.
Yeah, John Gruden, he's the ultimate wild card.
He is.
He just finds guys he likes. I think he watches like one game of college football per year, and he's just like, that guy.
Yeah, he just falls in love, and he's got to go get them. He doesn't care where he picks them.
Yeah, so I think that this would be a great pick.
This would be too good of a pick.
Yeah, we're giving them too much credit, but I really do think they need to address that defense. So don't be surprised to see, somebody else for that defense getting drafted.
Yeah.
Very similar to like Damon Arnett last year.
Might be a name you don't know, but they'll get somebody.
Yeah, it will be somebody.
So now if we move on to number 18 and the Dolphins' second pick, this is a position I think they have to address, and we have them taking Elijah Vera Tucker, the tackle and/or guard from South California, and I mean this guy's a beast, and he can get it done anywhere he needs to, inside or out. I think he probably will end up playing guard, but when you're the Dolphins and you just pick Tua and you have all this stuff riding on him, anybody on that offensive line is going to help.
Yeah, Tua's very fragile, and there's a lot of big dudes in the NFL
who
will break him. So it's really important. I mean, last year you saw from the draft, they drafted Tua, and the next pick was immediately an offensive tackle.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we got to remember that the 6th overall pick that they got this year, that's from the Laramie Tunsil trade. So they traded away a big tackle, so they're going to need to get a new one. And I think that Elijah Vera Tucker would be, a fantastic guy, even if he does have to move into guard. Just somebody who can protect Tua and, really give him a shot to stand in and throw the ball to Jamar Chase.
Oh, yeah. Especially, I mean, if they go receiver with the first pick, they're going to have to help Tua in another way here. So I think Vera Tucker would be a great fit there, and I think that would be a great pick, and Tua would certainly be happy. So now we move on to 19 and the Washington football team. And this was a pick we kind of went back and forth on. This is certainly another team that could trade up to get a quarterback. It depends on how far they fall, because they would have to give up a decent amount to come all the way up from 19. But we have them taking Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver from Minnesota.
Yeah. Right now they have Fitzmagic. And
Oh,
QB,
baby.
and I know the beard is majestic, but the play is not.
It leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, he's never been that guy. He's never been a franchise quarterback, and now I feel like he's like 50 years old. So
Oh, he's just ancient.
yeah, so he's just definitely not the guy. So I'm sure they're really hoping to go up and get a quarterback. But if not, I think that they're getting a really, really good wide receiver with Rashad Bateman. He's a big guy, a more physical guy, which is different to the other guys that have like not Will Sims. I don't know. His last name is Sims, and Scary Terry McLaurin. So if they can get a bigger guy who can go get those jump balls, I think that would be a great addition. And not only is he a big guy, he can run pretty well too. I think he ran like a 4.43.
He did
in his 40 time, which you don't normally see guys at that size being able to do. I think he could be a real X factor in this draft.
Yeah, kid is an athlete, and he didn't have as great a year this year as he did the year before, but he did contract COVID right before the season started and lost a bunch of weight, and I think that definitely had a lot to do with just the way he plays because he's so physical. I think that hurt him a lot, and I think if he can maintain his strength at the next level and still beat guys the way he did in college, he would be an excellent pick for the Washington football team right here, and I think he's definitely the number 4 receiver in this class. So now we move on to number 20 and the Bears.
The Bears.
So this team could do literally anything on Thursday night, and everybody knows that they need a quarterback. They have Andy Dalton right now, and he's simply not going to get it done.
No, not at all.
However, you might notice that all the quarterbacks are gone. So we have them picking Kwity Paye, the edge rusher from Michigan, who I think could be very good. He's got all the tools you could ever ask for. He'll be a little bit of a project at the next level. But, I mean, for a team that I don't think knows what they're doing, we give them somebody they can kind of work with, and just a player who's good value at 20 when they don't know what they're doing and the players they need aren't there. This could also maybe be a cornerback, maybe a tackle, we'll see. But we're going to go with Kwity Paye.
Yeah, I think that they could definitely trade up to get a quarterback, but the last time they did that, they got Mitch Trubisky. So
yeah, it worked out so well.
Yeah, it's not really shown to work too well, but they have a really, really good defense, and I think adding Kwity Paye is yet again a guy who, like, it's good value. It's a player who really could go higher. He's the best edge rusher in this draft as far as guys who are going to go in and get sacks and make plays on the quarterback.
Definitely.
He's the number one guy, and being able to get him at 20 is of real value. And I think, they have guys like Khalil Mack, so he's not going to come in and be expected to be a game changer.
And when
right
it's
away.
A guy who's going to be a little bit of a project, who better to learn the craft from,
Yeah, I think Khalil Mack, just an absolute, monster of a human being who can throw offensive linemen like it's no big deal. So I think that this would be a really, really good pick for them. Obviously, Michigan is also cold, so be used to the weather up there.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's got it. So I think this would be great
2 + 2 = 4. So moving on to 21, it's the Indianapolis Colts, the new home for Carson Wentz.
Number 2, baby.
Yeah, a new look offense they're going to have this year, and we have them supplementing that offense with the receiver. We took Kadarius Toney, the wide receiver from Florida, and I think he's one of the most exciting prospects in this draft. That Florida offense was firing on all cylinders this year, and he was a huge part of it along with Kyle Pitts and Kyle Trask. But kid's just electric. I say that all the time, but he's the definition of electric.
Yeah, he's incredibly fast, and he's really, really small. He's like a little ant, and you see him, and he just torpedoes up the field, and nobody can stay with him. I think that he would be a really good addition to this offense. They really need kind of a game breaker in there, somebody who's going to change it up. They have a really good running back with Jonathan Taylor that they drafted last year. They have Michael Pittman, who is a really good wide receiver, but he's not a guy who can just absolutely turn a game on its head.
No,
and
certainly.
Toney is that guy. And I think that he would be a fantastic pickup there. And yet again, he's a guy who's in an offense last year that was absolutely cooking with gas.
Exactly.
And that's what you need.
Exactly. I mean, no matter how raw some of these prospects are, seeing them get it done on the field is still like the number one thing you want to see. There's nothing better than catching 10+ touchdowns in a season, especially when some of these other guys that could go here caught 1 or 2. I mean, I get it was a shortened season, but this kid was playing at a very high level. And yes, he'll be a little bit of a project, but I mean, you got to take risks at this point in the draft, and I think the Colts would be very smart to try to take this risk here at 21.
So at 22, we have the Tennessee Titans, and they are going to pick edge rusher out of Georgia, Azeez Ojulari.
There you go. See, you pronounced that one well.
Thank you. Yeah, I was very nervous there for a second.
Yeah, I was just checking my computer because I thought I was going to die, but thank you for covering there.
Of course. So, yeah, I mean, I think that, we just talked about Kwity Paye as the best edge rusher.
Yeah.
I think Azeez is very close up with him. He's a Georgia Bulldog. He's very good at rushing the quarterback, and I think that that's what the Tennessee Titans need. I think they really, really struggled last year getting to the quarterback, even with Jadeveon Clowney. Obviously, he has moved on, so they're going to be able to replace him with, yet again, edge rushers I feel are always a little bit of a project. But I feel like this is a guy who can really get after it and, game breaker defensively.
Yeah, definitely. He's a little bit smaller than some of these other guys, but he's pretty long, and he's very explosive off the line. So I think, at the end of the day, you need your edge rusher to get to the quarterback, and I think he will be able to at the next level. The Titans could, once again, pick a plethora of different positions here. Wouldn't even be shocked if they took a receiver, maybe a tackle, but I think that this is a good spot for him to go, and I think he kind of fell right into their lap, and he would be a perfect fit just to work on that defense and get to the quarterback, because they're going to need a little bit of that down in Tennessee.
Definitely.
So now we go back to the New York Football Jets.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, just picked their quarterback of the future a couple hours ago in real time of the draft, obviously.
Yeah.
And then we have them here at 23 taking Greg Newsome II, a cornerback from Northwestern. Cornerback's one of their biggest needs, and they do address it here. And they have a couple different options at this point in the draft, but Newsome, I think, is the next best guy. I think that this would be a little bit of a reach for Asante Samuel Jr. I think he's a little bit more of a project and probably will end up going in the second round, maybe very late first round. Newsome kind of comes from a smaller school at Northwestern, but I think he's ready to get it done.
Yeah, I agree. And yet again, it's another guy, you don't have to worry about somebody who's injured like Farley, who might struggle down the stretch or might not be able to play right away. This is a guy who can come in for the Jets team that really, they need people right now who want to come in and are willing to play. And when you look at that defense, they still have Quentin Williams, who they drafted a couple years ago, who really, shapes that defensive line. And then you look at that secondary after trading Jamal Adams, they need another guy back there who can be a difference maker. And I think with Newsome, they're really getting a good corner who can lock people down. And especially, you look at the AFC East, there's no real incredible wide receiver talent.
No,
so it's not a guy who you're going to have to chuck into the deep end of the pool. It's a guy who can really kind of learn as he's going.
Exactly, yeah. He just is going to need to play his game, and if he can do it well, I think he will succeed on the Jets.
Mm-hmm. And as we talked about before, when you get a franchise piece like Zach Wilson, you got to protect them. So I could totally see them going tackle here as well.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see a tackle. It could be Tevin Jenkins, who obviously we're going to see is going to go pretty soon here. I could also, if any of the other guys fall, like especially Elijah Vera Tucker, because he could play guard as well as tackle, that would be a great pick here. The way we see it, maybe the Cards won't fall that way, but they could do a number of different things. Nothing better than a second first-round pick after picking a quarterback.
Yeah, you can really go wherever you want.
Yeah.
So go Joe Douglas, baby.
Hell yeah! Still getting it done. Boy, do I miss him. It's just a sad existence as an Eagles fan anymore.
Yeah, it's tough. Especially, we touched on it as we were drafting, but we now pick behind like two of our division rivals, even though we were the worst team.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, that's unfair.
It really is.
We shouldn't be allowed to do that. We should be able to get whoever we want.
Like
I think
Jamar Chase.
That's fair. Yeah, we should just get awarded Jamar Chase, please.
Or we could have just stayed where we were. But it is what it is. Howie's gonna Howie. Anyway, moving on to the other Pennsylvania team.
Oh yeah.
Pick number 24, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a very interesting spot because a lot of people have them taking a running back here. And I, as a secondary Steelers fan, would hate to see them pick a running back in the first round. Yes, it could work out. But because running backs are so easy to come by later in the draft, just classically, I think they'd have to go up front. And protect their quarterback of the future, whoever that's going to be, and pick Tevin Jenkins, the tackle from Oklahoma State right here.
Yeah, I mean, to win in the NFL, you have to be able to throw the football. And for the Steelers, that means you have to almost give Big Ben like a perfect pocket every time.
Mm-hmm.
He just can't move. He just can't move anymore.
And I mean, last year he was getting the ball out quicker than most other quarterbacks, but that was literally just because he had to.
Yeah, so you gotta do more to protect him. And I realized that the running game was really, really poor last year.
Oh, abysmal.
And it was. But yeah, yet again, addressing that offensive line.
Exactly.
Giving your running backs James Conner, who's proven he could do pretty well.
No, James Conner's gone now. Too.
Oh, well.
It's tragic.
Never mind.
I didn't even realize he was a free agent. He plays for the Cardinals now.
Oh, wow.
It was an absolute blindside.
I'm blindsided right now.
Yeah.
This is
So-
mind-blowing.
But I mean, they've got to go. They've got to go offensive line here because it will help with the quarterback play and the running back play. And while running back was probably the biggest position of need last year, they're going to be able to fill it elsewhere. And I don't
Definitely.
think they'll be able to get a tackle this good later in the draft.
No, not
So
at all.
I would love to see Tevin Jenkins go here on Thursday night. So now, pick number 25. The Jacksonville Jaguars are back on the clock. And like we just said, it's a great pick. Second pick after picking a quarterback. You can go anywhere. And yes, maybe you would like to see them protect Trevor Lawrence before he even gets there. We have a player here that has dropped a little bit. He's the best player at his position, and that is Trevor Moehrig, the safety from TCU. Safety is one of their biggest needs, especially that secondary is just absolutely depleted from what it used to be. I think he'd be a great pick here. Other than that, it could be a tackle, but I don't know who they'd pick at this point with Tevin Jenkins gone.
Yeah, it's not really the craziest pick if you're a Jacksonville fan. I don't know if there are many. But,
No, yeah.
but
Duval
yeah,
County, and that's probably it.
exactly. So, but he is the best player available. He's a really, really talented safety. Obviously, most safeties aren't really game changers unless they're really strong safeties who come up and play in the box like, Jamal Adams does. But it's one of those guys who he's fallen this far. You've already addressed your main position of need, quarterback, with the best guy you could get. And
My computer just keeps making noise. I'm so sorry.
no, it's not good. But I think Moehrig is a really good player. He's fallen pretty far. You can get really good value for him and really get a solid safety that could be a mainstay in that defense for years to come.
Yeah, I'm usually against taking a safety in the first round. But, I mean, this guy is clearly the best at his position. There's not a whole lot of other options for them here. I think it would be a great pick, and he'd be able to lock down that secondary for years to come. So now, pick number 26, the Cleveland Browns. We have them selecting Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle from Alabama, who is an absolute beast, but this position this year is just kind of weak.
Yeah, it's just not a great defensive line draft really at all. I mean, there's a couple edge rushers who are pretty exciting, but nobody who really, blows your socks off or anything. But Christian Barmore, he's the best defensive tackle, the best interior defensive lineman in this draft. He's from Philadelphia, so obviously gets a plus from us.
Hell yeah, we love him because of that.
Yeah, and I think that this is a real position that the Browns could improve on, and you're able to get the best guy sitting there at 26.
Exactly.
I think
it's
a
similar
no-brainer.
to the last pick with Moehrig. It's just the best guy at a position of need falls right in your lap. You got to go get him. And yes, maybe he was a little bit inconsistent, but when he was good, he was so good on that Alabama defense. So I think the Browns would love to have Barmore here.
No, I agree. And Alabama, they just churn out these pros.
They do, yeah, exactly. Like, you can almost never go wrong taking somebody from Alabama.
Unless they're a quarterback.
Well,
At Mac Jones.
we'll see. But yeah, no, I mean, not once again, not a sexy pick for the Browns, but for a team that played pretty well last year, I think that maybe they don't need all that help. I think Christian Barmore would be a lovely pick here at 26.
So next we have the Ravens, and we have them taking wide receiver at LSU, Terrence Marshall Jr. I really like him. I think he's a really talented wide receiver. I think LSU just breeds wide receiver talent, obviously with Justin Jefferson. You got guys like Odell Beckham and then guys in this draft like Jamar Chase. And really, in the absence of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase this year, Marshall really stepped up to be the guy. I think he's a really, really good fit to play in Baltimore just because he's a bigger wide receiver. He's a guy who can go get the jump balls as well as being pretty quick and running a lot of different routes. You look at the other wide receivers that have, it's really nobody of, note other than Hollywood Brown. Like when Willie Snead is your number two, it's not tough.
A good look. Yeah.
And I realize that they do have Mark Andrews, who is one of these new groups of tight ends who can really just break the game wide open. But I think you still need somebody on the outside who can create that space in the middle. And by doing that, you're going to create more running lanes for Lamar and guys like J.K. Dobbins in the backfield. So I think that this would be a fantastic pick for them.
Yeah, man, I do agree. I definitely think they're going to need to address wide receiver here. Which one it will be, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Marshall clearly looks like a good fit on paper because of his side and because of the way he would be able to complement Hollywood Brown. It's never the best idea to just keep picking the same type of player over and over again because eventually one of them's not going to be able to play over the other. So Terrace Marshall will be a good fit, I think. I don't know if they'll do it. The Ravens, they always seem to surprise me, I guess, but they don't have a ton of other needs. They're obviously a great team. They could always get some more help for Lamar up front with the line. There's not a lot of great options left, so receiver here would be a great pick, and I think Marshall has a lot of upside, and I think he could be pretty solid.
Definitely.
So now moving on to pick number 28. We have the New Orleans Saints.
New Orleans.
And we have them taking the cornerback out of Florida State, Asante Samuel Jr., who, while I said earlier, might not go to the second round, and it wouldn't surprise me if he does. Cornerback is just too big of a need here for the Saints to pass up on him. They could look at other options, like maybe a linebacker, maybe a receiver. There's obviously still a few receivers left on the board that I could see going in the first round. But I think here they should just play it safe. Take Asante Samuel Jr. and lock down a corner for years to come. I think he will probably end up playing in the slot a little bit more, but he will be a solid cornerback, much like his father was.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this would be a great pick for them. Not only does it address a need, it addresses a position that in their division they need to have good. You know what I mean? You look at, the Falcons have two great wide receivers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have two great wide receivers. And those are really these teams that the Saints are going to have to compete against. So bringing in another guy to go with Marshawn Lattimore and really help shut down the secondary would be fantastic. I think wide receiver would also be a good pick to go here. They could use some guy with some speed. But really, who knows what that offense is going to look like right now? It's going to be Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a new look offense.
Definitely.
That I think is going to focus a little bit more on running the ball, using Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill's legs to really get you down the field. So yeah, I think they need to look at that defense and go get another corner.
Yeah, dude, I agree. And I mean, we move on to pick number 29 here, and one of the receivers will fly off the board here that we were talking about, and that's going to be Elijah Moore from Mississippi. And the Packers, for some reason, we just don't feel like they're going to pick a receiver here. It doesn't seem like a Packers move, especially after last year. They didn't build around Aaron Rodgers at all, even though, he was
an MVP.
Yeah,
he won the MVP.
He doesn't have much time left, but he's still, as good as ever, at least was. So I think Elijah Moore would be a great pick here. He's so explosive. He'd be able to really just give him such a good deep threat, and they could build on that offense that could do some damage.
Yeah, sometimes I think rookie wide receivers can struggle to get involved in offenses, but when you have the speed that Moore has, it's pretty easy. You just say, go out there and run, and he's just going to beat people. And I think that he's going into an attack that has a fantastic running game, already has a fantastic passing game through Adams and Rodgers.
Yeah.
So by adding one guy who, yet again, adds a whole nother aspect to this team, would really be a fantastic move for them.
Yeah, I think he'd be a lovely slot receiver for them, and he could really play anywhere for them, whatever they need him to do, with Davante Adams obviously also being out there. But it would really be an instant dynamic duo, especially with his blazing speed And we all know that Aaron Rodgers will be able to hit him no matter how far down that field he runs. So
Just a flick of the wrist. That's all he
it really
needs.
is. Oh, such
It's a 40-yard pass
beautiful
right there.
frog motion on that man.
Yeah, so I think getting him help is a great decision to make, especially you're picking at the back end of this draft, and you can go get somebody like this right now.
Exactly,
go get him.
yeah.
Go get him.
I mean, once again, it does worry me after what they did last year, not getting him any help. But they're gonna have to realize at some point that they can supplement him with other pieces, and they'll be even better than they were now. So I think that would be one of the more exciting picks in the NFL draft this year.
Also, apparently, Aaron Rodgers wants to be the full-time host of Jeopardy now.
He does, yes.
Like full-time, not just the guest guy.
How he thinks he's going to be able to do that and play football, I just simply don't understand. But I think that would be the funniest.
It's some dedication to the craft.
It is.
Really,
it really is.
Who knew he liked trivia so
exactly.
much?
I too love Jeopardy. I understand, Aaron, but you're an NFL quarterback. Do you really want to be the host of Jeopardy?
It does seem very strange, but hey, he's got a retirement.
And
plan
exactly. It's not even like he's retired now. He just wants to do it. I get if you don't want to go into the booth. Obviously, you're not going to be better than Tony Romo, but it's just so funny to me.
I would definitely tune into Jeopardy more.
I mean, it would get me to watch it even more than I already do.
Especially if you grow out the stash again.
Yeah, I also saw somebody flamed him on there. One of the contestants made a joke about them kicking a field goal when they obviously should have gone for a touchdown, and I think that's pretty funny. I mean, it could give us a lot of moments like that.
I would love that.
So now if we go down to pick number 30, we have the Buffalo Bills. This is another pick that we went back and forth on a little bit. But we settled on Jalen Phillips, the edge rusher from Miami.
Yeah, Bills Mafia is gonna love this guy. I really do think so. He's just a go-getter. He's really, really big as far as defensive ends are concerned. He tosses tackles around. Obviously, the NFL is gonna be different, but he really he's got some injury concerns. He had to retire.
Yeah, he was forced to retire, which is. I mean, that's just a crazy thing to hear about a draft prospect.
Yeah, as we were talking about, Aaron Rodgers doesn't even retire, but this guy who's 20 had to retire due to concussion. So it's not a great look, but he was able to come back this past year after his brief retirement and really put on a show in that Miami defense. And I think that if he can stay healthy, he is a real game changer on the outside of that defensive line. And I think Bills Mafia would love him, would absolutely love him.
I mean, he really does shut off blockers with ease. But more importantly, he would be an excellent fit in Buffalo. He really would. He'd be a character for them. And, I mean, they'd be able to get behind him. I think it would be a great move just all around for them to take Jalen Phillips there. I mean, one of the other options would be Gregory Rousseau, another edge rusher from Miami, who was one of these guys that didn't play last year, and obviously that hurt his draft stock. I think, they could be similar in the NFL, but you got to play it safe here. You got to take Jalen Phillips, and I think that's an excellent pick for these Buffalo Bills.
I agree.
So now we have the Ravens on the clock again after trading with the Chiefs at pick number 31, and we have them taking Alex Leatherwood, the tackle from Alabama. There are a few other tackles they could have gone with at this point, but we just felt Leatherwood was the next best guy, and like we were just saying, getting Lamar Jackson a little bit more help up there. It showed last year that he's human, so being able to get him more help up there would be huge for that team.
Yeah, it was definitely a strange trade. Trading between two AFC rivals, you don't really see that a lot, especially at a premier position like left tackle. And they traded away their left tackle to go draft another one, but I really feel like it becomes a need when you lose that guy.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
so hopefully they have a guy who they have their eyes on in this draft who they think is going to be really, really good. I think Leatherwood is a very, very good tackle. Yet again, Alabama runs the football really, really well, and so do the Ravens. So I think it would be a great fit for them.
Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier about how Mac Jones always had this clean pocket to work with. Leatherwood was one of the big reasons why. So I think he would be an excellent protection piece for Lamar Jackson, and maybe he could find some of that form he had 2 years ago. Now, dun dun dun, the final pick of the first round of the NFL draft. And I'm not going to lie.
This is going to be fun.
I'm looking at this name.
It's a great name. I would just like to say it's a fantastic name. It's difficult to say that.
All right. I'm going to give it an attempt. So with the 32nd pick We have the Buccaneers taking Levi Onwuzurike, the defensive tackle from Washington.
That was magical.
Yeah, I mean,
Perfect.
it was an attempt. But here we are at the end of the first round, and they could do literally anything here. They are returning so many starters, it's not even funny.
It's kind of ridiculous. I don't understand how it happened. Like, normally when a team wins the Super Bowl, you just expect people to leave because that's just kind of what happens, and people get the bag somewhere else. But just everybody was like, nah, dude, I'm coming back. Maybe it's because the weather is so nice down in Tampa. They were like, I'm winning Super Bowls, and like it's beautiful
Super
down
Bowls
here.
and a beautiful place. Want to stay there. Levi's another one of these guys that opted out of last season, and that once again hurt his draft stock a bit. But he did come back and even practice for the Senior Bowl and didn't look amazing there. But what he's shown in the past, I think, definitely is going to get him drafted. If not, right here at the end of round 1, I think he'll go in round 2, if not early. And yeah, this is just one of their kind of needs.
Yeah, they really are stacked. I mean, obviously they just won the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
so it's not really like I'm going out on a limb here. But as far as interior D line, it's a weak class, but that's really the only position you can say, all right, they can make an improvement. And by going and getting a really high upside guy like this, I think that would be a really good pick.
Yeah, exactly. They're certainly in a position to be able to take a little risk here. I don't think they would take a quarterback here. We do obviously have a couple of options of guys that might go in the second and third rounds. Yeah, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond. It would be kind of crazy to say, but we all know that Tom Brady's playing on borrowed time now. He's got to be. He has to be.
No, he's immortal. I don't think he's real.
No, I guess at this point it doesn't even seem that way.
I feel like he's been reborn in Tampa. He's like a new breed now.
Yeah, Tampa Tom. He's
on
Tampa
Twitter.
Bay.
Like he's doing his
Bay.
thing.
He's living his best life down there, it seems.
Exactly. And I mean, it is kind of a meme now, but they do have, I think Josh Rosen is the backup.
Yes, they do have Josh
So they do
Rosen.
have a previous.
And I was a
first-round
huge
pick.
Josh Rosen guy back in the day. So.
Yeah, so they, even at the positions where like they probably should draft, they still seem to have a guy who can do the job. So yeah, they really could do anything. They could probably, draft like a cat and still win the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, they could forfeit this pick and
yeah.
just run right back to the
So
Super Bowl.
yeah, it'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah. So that does conclude the first round of this mock here. We're super excited for Thursday. It's going to be a wild night.
Yeah, as we were saying, I think there's going to be a lot of trades early on in this draft, so definitely stay tuned and, be ready to see some teams that are really quarterback hungry go up and get their guy.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on, obviously, the Patriots, the Bears, the Washington football team. It would be very interesting to see who goes where and who makes what trades and stuff.
No, yeah, I think it's going to be crazy with the trade. And I don't know why this year more than any other year, it seems like the quarterbacks are just going to roll in the first 10 picks. But
they're rolling.
Yeah, dude, I think they're all going to be gone by 10, and I think a lot of people agree with that.
The saddest thing about this draft, and I might actually be wrong, but it's not going to be held from Roger Goodell's basement.
It's
anymore.
not. Yeah, it is actually a shame. So they're going to have it live, and I think a little over a dozen of the prospects are going to be there. And obviously that'll be great for them, and that'll be great for Roger,
yeah.
But there's nothing better than seeing this man at the end of day 3, all tired, sitting in his comfy boy chair,
reading the names of these players he's never seen
It
before.
was so funny.
He was in his own house and he seemed like he didn't want to be there. He was like, "Get me out."
It was the best. Yeah, I mean, as exciting as the regular draft is, I don't think anything will ever be as funny as that.
Yeah. The memes were incredible.
Oh yeah.
And that's really what it's about. As long as we're memeing, it's the way to be.
Yeah, we are still, I heard, going to have some war room cams. So maybe we'll get another Belichick shot where the dog was sitting in his chair.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Or I mean, the Vrabel household was going crazy the whole time. So
there's too much testosterone in
there
the house.
is, yeah. So there will be a lot of fun things to look out for on Thursday night. I mean, we've been looking forward to this for a long time, and it's finally here. I'm excited to see what happens. We're probably going to be doing a live stream during the draft, so if you want to tune in and check out what we're saying as it goes down, probably get a bad reaction at pick number 12 when the
Yeah.
Eagles surely do something stupid. But I'm excited and I'm ready for it to happen. I
Yeah.
really am.
It's one of the best nights of the year, and it's
Hell yeah.
almost here.
Hell yeah. But thank you guys for listening so much. We really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun putting this together, a lot of fun talking about these prospects. And we can't wait for Thursday night. We hope you guys can't wait either. So thank you so much.
See you next time.